Tonight, on The Vantage Point, we spotlight Reverend Dr. A.J. Varma, leader, scholar, spiritual guide, author of over 70 plus books. He's the Coptic Pope of today, with over thousands of sermons, leading ceremonies, conferences, and so much more. He has been leading the way for brothers and sisters all across the globe for over 20 years. He is known to be a blessing for melanated people, proven by his ability to answer all questions. This is no doubt, as it's been seen and proved time and time again, especially here on The Vantage Point. We are blessed to have, grateful to have, thankful to have, and welcome Reverend Dr. A.J. Varma, also known as Basesh Haruhotep Tar. The Vantage Point starts now. Welcome to The Vantage Point. I'm your host, Lazadi Valencia of Righteous Shoes, and you're tuned into your Conscious Podcast. Today, we are in a different setting. We have a different vantage point. We're here in the kitchen because it's said that men can cook according to the scriptures. Last week, we had on with us Reverend Dr. A.J. Varma, also known as Basesh Haruhotep Tar. And I just want to say I'm grateful, we are grateful here on the Vantage Point to have him with us in this day and time. A lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And as much as this man has traveled the world and stands before thousands of people to teach the good word and to help to guide them, he still takes time to do the things, the small things that many people won't do. So he always shows love and shows humanity and just down to earth. So we appreciate today's episode here with Basesh, where he's going to show us that men can cook according to the scriptures. So we're going to get started with the meal that he promised us he will show us to make, and then we'll get into some conversation. So we want to welcome our Reverend Dr. A.J. Varma on to the scene today, into the kitchen with us today, as he will show us. He's going to tell us exactly which meal he's going to be cooking today. So let's get started. Master, welcome.
You're welcome. You're in my kitchen. All right, we're here. What we doing?
So you told us that men can cook.
That's right.
We don't believe you.
That's right.
You said you can cook.
That's right.
You sure?
Yeah, I got the pork chops ready to go.
Oh man, we're gonna die, y'all. We're gonna die.
No, we're not doing pork chops. All right. Well, first thing we're gonna do. I make different dishes, right? Caribbean dishes, African dishes, American dishes. Been blessed to have grown up in America with a mom and family, and myself being born in Liberia, West Africa. Tonight I'm gonna make you a Liberian dish, well, West African dish, right? Called jollof rice. From the Wolof word jollof. You find it in Senegal, Senegambia. You find it in Nigeria. You find it in Ghana. You find it in Liberia. It's all over.
Does everyone make it the same?
No.
Okay.
Everyone's different. They're all delicious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like them all. I've had them all. They're all, but I'm gonna make the way we make it in Liberia. I can make it any way I can, but I'm just saying true to what I really know how to do.
Okay.
Because my mom's Liberian and I'm Liberian, so I'm gonna make it that way. But there's so many different variations, and when they're all made correctly, it all tastes great. It's excellent. So tonight we're going to start, and I have prepped the lobster, right? Because Liberia, we do a lot of seafood, chicken, fish, pretty much whatever we can get. I'm using shrimp that are deveined, wild caught, lobster that are deveined, We're gonna do the lobster.
I'm gonna grab another camera just to show the people, if that's okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Show them.
So we're doing lobster. So this is the prep. This is lobster, right? Lobster tails, shells, shrimp, vein, clean, wild caught, everything. Prep the yellow peppers. These are shallots. Right, this is the bag of shallots. These are a certain type of onion,
Okay.
really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
This is the habanero, a whole habanero pepper cut.
Mm-hmm.
That's garlic. That's red peppers,
Mm-hmm.
yellow onions, red onions.
Okay.
Right, but we're not going to bring that out yet.
Alrighty.
Right now,
So we
just
just
want to
switch
get
back.
right. We just want to get the
Keep going.
set this to about 6, 7. I'm gonna do the lobster and the shrimp at the same time. So this is gonna take a quick minute just to heat this pan. Right? And I don't use a lot of oil, very little, really just coating it. Right? Just light coat of oil. Prefer olive oil. Some people use corn oil. Some people use just depends what you want to use. Coconut oil.
So it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Just really light.
Okay.
Right? Because I'm big on, I have a mom, she has high blood pressure. So I don't want that. So I'm really big on no salt, white salt, all that. Oil I use very little.
Okay.
I prefer to grill most of the times and then add that in or bake
Okay.
and really get the fat off.
Now what's the most healthy oil? The best oil?
Sunflower is great. Olive oil is great. Those types of things.
Grapeseed?
Grapeseed, that'll work. Grapeseed will work. All of these types of things will work, right? So we're going to try what we try, and we'll tell people again, you can try what works best for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to just take some of this lobster. No, we're not going to pop.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Do that.
Now, if you ever need me to rinse anything, I'll do that, but I'm not going to touch the food because then if I touch the food, I have to take credit for it. Okay, all right. Just making sure. I'll take the credit for this meal. All right.
Let's not do that. We're not going to do that. Right, but this is important because scripturally speaking, you have whether it's Abraham in Genesis, going and preparing, fetching the meal, bringing the meal. When it said the angels or the Lord came down, the angels, 3 angels, and he went and made a meal. Whether it's Esau in the Bible making a meal of porridge and lentils and venison for his father Jacob, whether it's the disciples in Matthew 26 preparing the Sabbath meal that Christ told them to go and prepare for the Passover that was coming in that Friday evening. So it was the Sabbath of all Sabbaths. You have throughout scriptures where men cook. Now, of course, in Proverbs 31, right, it says a woman, she wakes up before her family, prepares the meal for the family, and she makes sure that her workers are also getting their due. So women cook. Women should be cooking, but it's not something scripturally that's only reserved for women. In fact, many of the greatest chefs on earth have been men at different times, depending on there's many great women that have been chefs.
Okay.
So we as melanated people, if we're going to reclaim what we refer to, call it the Nazarite way, the Nazarene way, then we have to get back into our culture, right? I'm blessed to have been raised by a mother who made us learn to cook. And her thing was always, honor me, you have to learn to cook because number one, if you can cook, you're going to make healthier food. Number two, if you can cook, then you're going to save money because if you go out to eat to a restaurant, you're going to spend way more trying to eat out, even if it's a good restaurant, you're going to spend way more than it would cost to make the meal yourself.
Okay.
So that was important. And then she also said, well, you also will get married one day. And I said the same to my sons. Notice a batch. The youngest batch is with the 3-year-old. He's been learning to cook with his mother. But one of the things that was stressed is that you're going to get married and you might marry a woman who cannot cook or cannot cook that which you prefer, which you enjoy. So if you know how to cook, then you'll be able to teach it. And then your family will benefit from it, your health will benefit from it, your pocket, your finances will benefit from it. So
and I'm really glad that she said that because a lot of women today only teach their daughters.
Right.
And they forget that, their sons need to learn as well.
Well, the sad part, a lot of women don't even teach their daughters.
That's true.
Right? And a bunch of
That's
women
true.
in their 30s and 40s and 20s who can't cook to save their life.
Right.
And so, because the scripture says all of the foundation of the heavens in Job 38, all the foundations of the earth, not the heavens, all the foundations of the earth are our course. Right? So everything the way we used to do it, we are no longer doing. And so now, of course, I'm putting lobster and shrimp, and there's going to be those who say, "Oh, that's not Hebraic." Well, let me be clear. When you read the Bible in the English translation, what a lot of people don't know is that people that are Jewish, many of the Jewish people from Europe, I'm talking about the European Jew, when they put that lobster and shrimp, which have shells, which have fins, right? I don't know if I can zoom in on it, but if you look at it, the way this sits, you're looking at fins. This is a fin fish or a fin crustacean. It has a fin. But what happens is, and you can look this up, and we'll do it perhaps in the second portion.
Yeah, I'm grabbing
But if
the
you look at it,
camera to help out.
right, you see it has the fins. The fins. Like lobsters have the same, crabs do not. Now it was about the digestive system of the animal, but a lot of people that are Jewish, European Jews, they have an aversion to shellfish because where they're from, there was an abundance of shellfish.
Okay.
It was not an abundance of shellfish. So we in West Africa, we of the Caribbean, where shellfish, shrimp, lobster is abundant, we will end up giving it up as lobster or giving it up as Hebrew because someone put that in their translation because they couldn't eat it. They have an aversion that literally their face will swell up and throat. And there's not, some melanated people have the same. They'll say, "Oh, it's a bottom feeder." Again, shrimp move in schools, not on the ground. They move in schools, moving through the ocean, consuming planktons and moss and things that are growing. But again, if you're only going off of what popular quote-unquote culture says, then some people will say they don't eat it. And again, that's everyone's choice. We're Nazarites. We have the laws that we live by, and we won't violate that. We have what we call Ben Shenta, right, which is ritually slaughtered or prepared for consumption. The Jews have what they call kosher. The Muslims have what they call halal. Muslims eat lobster and crab and shrimp. The Jews don't eat lobster and crab and shrimp. One group says theirs is halal. The other group says theirs is kosher. We are Ben Shenta. We're Nazarites, so we eat in accordance to the Nazarene way.
Okay. Now I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna be in and out the scene, just looking, and I'm gonna be having this camera going up and down and signaling the other camera to come in. So don't worry about me while you're cooking.
Okay.
But now you mentioned Vincenta, so why lobster and not crab? Did you?
Well, okay, when you look at crab, I did a book on it called The Dietary, Atonement Dietary, for ritual consumption, to be able to prepare the animal, whether it's chicken or cow or goat or lamb, or and we have to raise it ourselves,
Okay.
or fish it ourselves, or shrimp, seafood, and certain fish that we consume. And so the crab, because of its digestive system, is different than, and this is where in the Bible, even in the English translation, when they're talking about certain animals, they say, cheweth the cud, this one has, or he regurgitates his food, spits it back out, and then eats after that.
Okay.
So the crab system, it's the system of the crab. And I put it in the book, and we actually went online, got all the information, researched it in the books, and put it so that people have clarity.
Okay. So it's not that the crab doesn't taste good. It's just that.
This digestive system doesn't allow it to remove the toxins from its body. But again, I'm not going to debate no one on it because to each their own. We will follow that which is beneficial for us. We're not asking people. I'm saying if you're a person who don't eat crab, don't eat crab. Right? You don't eat it. If you're a person who doesn't eat shrimp, don't eat shrimp. Take and do what works best. Don't eat pork, 100% with that. But take and do what's best by way of what your faith system says. Don't violate the law, but don't create laws where or things that don't exist. Don't say you can't eat shrimp because it's a bottom feeder when it's not. You check shrimp feed as a school and they move through the ocean above the bottom. They walk along the bottom wouldn't eat. So that's
Okay.
part of the myth. Lobsters as well. But again, and then the same people who will say they don't eat this, they don't eat that. Some people eat tilapia,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a real fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a bottom feeder. And certain other snapper, right, eats on the bottom. Most fish, they don't eat the bottom. They pick up the food and spit out the fecal matter. But again, if you do some research, there's a difference between a Nazarite. We do the research. We don't just say we don't eat this or we don't eat that, and just merely get upset and merely create an entire dogma
Around it.
around
Now this
something.
is looking great. Now let me ask you. I heard you mention fins, and I'm grabbing stuff at the same time. So did you also mention in the book something about scales?
Yes.
And now, what are you considering when you're looking at the scales of the fish?
The way again, we're considering any animal first and foremost its body or its ability to remove toxins from its body. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If it cannot remove the toxins, that's the first issue. Go to the book of what we call the African book of Leviticus, Vayikra, the book of what they call the book of the law, the dietary laws of the Kohen, as the Yiddish calls it, the Kapon, as we call it, the Nazarites. And you'll find therein there are dietary laws. And these laws were African systems of eating. The Old Testament, nothing in the Old Testament is contrary or adverse to ancient African systems. Certain tribes, whether it's the Lemba or the Bassa or the Igbo, these were the ancient Hebraic tribes. And so when we're looking at things, we're looking at A, the dietary system of the animal, its ability or creature to push out toxins and poisons so we don't end up eating it. I'm gonna put those onions in there and just get this stove down really low so it doesn't burn. So I'm doing yellow onions and just take a pause, doing yellow onions. I'm gonna brown these. And I'm gonna add the shallots.
Now, when you fry up that lobster and those shrimp,
Yes.
there's a certain way or texture, because shrimp sometimes they can come out soft and sometimes
Well, that's why we kept them in the
the
shell, and we're gonna brown the shells. Now what we're gonna do, we just add this yellow peppers, red peppers, and garlic. And what we do is we add, as far as the shrimp, we want to keep the shrimp and everything, we're gonna end up in the pot. So later on, right, in that final section, you do that. And I keep putting just a little bit of oil at a time, very little, right? It's going to end up in there, and it's going to actually stew. It'll stew down. We brown it, because sometimes, I don't know about everybody else, but I don't like food that tastes like, listen, seafood, like if you eat fish, sometimes it's wet. Now, some people love it, right? They love it to death. I don't like that way, it almost tastes fishy. I
Right.
can't do it.
Right.
So I always brown stuff, grill it just to get it browned and sauteed down. So that's what we did with the shrimp. We browned the shrimp. We browned the lobster.
Okay.
It's going to end up in the jollof rice.
Okay.
Again, the Liberian way of making it.
Right.
But, I'm doing it the way that
Yes.
I was taught.
Because I hear people ask me often whenever I make any African dishes, well, why do you keep the shell on? Why do you keep the shell on?
Right. If you don't, it'll shrink.
Right.
You'll have this large or extra large shrimp. If you take the shell off, it dehydrates. So then your shrimp goes from being a big piece of shrimp to you're like, what happened to the shrimp? The shell takes on that heat and it protects the actual flesh of the shrimp. So you have large pieces of shrimp. So when you're eating, you just take it out. I always slip mine when I do it down the backside. So if a person's eating it, they would literally just peel it out.
Right. It's
and
easy.
It's easy, and you don't have to worry about losing.
And it savors the flavor.
The flavor's in there.
Okay.
And again, that's for each person. You can decide. Some people say, I don't want to do the work. But, it's your health, it's your taste buds, and it's your understanding of scripture.
So now how long does it take to make this kind of meal?
Well, jollof rice, if I were prepping everything from zero, straight through the meal, hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
the way I learned to do it. Now, some people will go in the kitchen and say, I'm gonna knock it out in 30 minutes. And I don't know how, but not the way my mom taught me. You know, she would always say African food is not easy to make. You gotta put love into it.
Yes.
So if you're making food with love, you gotta knock out 90 minutes to 2 hours. If you don't want to do that, then put your weight 5 minutes and
Microwave
you
it.
see, and your kids are looking at you crazy, and your wife or husband leaves you. But hey, sometimes 90 minutes not work out in the day. That's not what we do. Right? We understand the importance of the kitchen is a medicine cabinet.
That's what we're gonna talk about later, so don't give it all away.
Don't give it all away.
Don't give it all away.
And so I'm still browning these onions. I'm gonna brown these onions with a brown, right? If I can ask you, I'm gonna go offset.
Yes.
So I just need you to stir.
Okay, I'll wait, because you want me to take right now. We can either start for you or we can take a quick commercial break.
You can take a question, but I need to wash this right.
Okay.
Black people always
All right, go ahead, I'll stir it for you, I'll stir it for you.
Credit.
So, Vantage Point, y'all know what's happening, okay? So, yeah, this is smelling delicious.
Right, so
So
what
what's
I'm doing is
the-
I'm washing the rice
Mhm.
inside of the strainer, and we wash the rice to get all of the starch off the rice.
Okay.
Right, so some people, those other folks, that don't know what I'm talking about, like the Northern recessive people, they don't wash their fish, they don't wash their chicken, they don't wash their rice. Civilization hasn't civilized everybody. Again, we'll leave that for them other people.
And that's what the guy used to about. Now, let me ask you, when you're cooking these meals,
Yes.
and you want everything fried really nice, you wanna make sure that you have the flavor in here, you wanna make sure that everything goes in at the right time.
Right.
Now, my question is, when you mess up, because people do mess up,
Right.
you have some secrets correcting those mistakes.
Yeah, it's called Don't Leave the Kitchen. I had a mom that didn't mess up. When it comes to that. She didn't. No. She didn't. You can make some mistakes, but it shouldn't be where it burned because you didn't pay attention. Why? What else were you doing? You were preparing the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients for your family. So why did you leave the kitchen?
Okay, got
What was more important? You're preparing the vitamins and the minerals that's going to sustain your family. So why are you leaving the kitchen? To go do what? Who called it was so important that you left the kitchen?
So now when people have work, you're telling them focus on one thing at a time, don't
Yes.
multitask.
No, I'm not saying focus on one thing, don't multitask. I'm saying you know thyself and to thine own self be true.
Okay.
If you know that you're the type of person that's easily distracted, then don't get distracted.
Okay.
It's as simple, it's not a hard formula. We don't have Mark Kelly writing songs about it, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
right now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm putting some light oil in the pan, and we're going to fry the rice. Right, so you want the stove at about a 6-7, you're gonna heat it up. The onions are still browning,
Okay.
that's fine. Keep the onions low, let it keep browning. I'm gonna go in the red peppers and garlic and yellow peppers, get ready. We got mixed vegetables, frozen mixed vegetables in the fridge. I'll pull them out in a minute. And we have smoked turkey. Some people use smoked turkey wings. Today I'm using smoked turkey tails. We boiled that down, but when you boil it, if you don't have a pressure cooker, you want to put about 4 inches of water. Wash the turkey, smoked turkey tails or smoked turkey wings. Cut it up or keep it whole if you want. Wash it really good. Put it in about 4 inches of water. Turn the stove on high. Cover the pot. Can't leave the kitchen.
Okay.
And you let that water boil down. It will boil down quickly. That little bit of, don't put a whole pot of water because then it takes forever to boil and it doesn't boil. It doesn't work.
Okay.
You're going to pressure cook using about 4 inches of water, and you boil it down. It takes about 15 minutes. Add more cups again. Boil it down. You do that 3 to 4 times in about a 30-minute period. You've just pressure cooked your smoked turkey. That's the African way of pressure cooking.
Okay.
Right.
When you don't have a pressure
Because
cooker,
the
you
pot,
can't.
that space between the 4 inches of water and the top of the pot creates pressure. That pressure creates a pressure cooker.
Mm.
That's not going to explode in your face when you open it, but it does have a lot of steam. So when you lift that top, don't lift it towards you. Don't do what a lot of people do, where they lift the top. Let me see if I can show you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make this mistake of lifting it towards you.
Right.
Lift it away from
Because then the steam is not in
Lift
your
it
face.
like that.
Okay.
Away from you, remove the top.
Mhm.
If not, well, you'll figure it out. It'll touch you.
Okay.
It'll touch you, wake you up. All right? So we have the onions are still browning. I'm keeping it low.
Okay.
Onions are browning. You want to notice I'm getting it nice and brown,
Okay.
right?
Let's come in.
Onions are browning,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm keeping it low.
Okay.
Now we got the oil getting ready. I'm gonna add a little bit more because we're gonna fry the rice. When I say fry it, the rice.
Let's see how much oil you have.
Yeah, that rice is just a little bit of oil.
A little bit.
It's just coating the pan.
Okay.
But we're gonna have to stir. Now I'm going to turn this stove on high now because
So you heat up.
Yeah, we're gonna fry the rice. We're gonna strain the rice.
Mm-hmm.
So we wash it.
Mm-hmm. It's already clean. So please wash your rice.
It's not ready yet. The oil is not hot enough yet.
Now, while we're waiting for that to heat up, may I ask you a question?
Sure thing.
This is important.
Right.
All right. So, as you're teaching us today, you're showing us that men can cook according to
Not
the
just men
scripture,
can cook, but the importance of cooking.
or the importance
Man,
of cooking.
woman, cat, dog, somebody.
Somebody.
The importance of
Now,
being in the kitchen
but
and cooking for your
my
family.
question is there anything wrong with a woman learning from her man how to cook?
Well, you have to ask women, right? Because
Have you found that to be an issue?
some women want to learn, some women don't. Some women are willing to say, "Hey, teach me. I want to learn." Whatever your culture, if you're from Jamaica, or some people's mama taught them, and they do in the kitchen, they just lethal at what they do. And then there's other recipes we can all learn. I've had women teach me things that I didn't know. Right?
Does it take away from the woman? Does the
No.
man use it later? Oh, I taught you how to cook.
No, if he's a real man, no.
Okay.
Because he understands that if his mama raised him, that he was going to have to teach her to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think what happens sometimes is some people are raised to be domestic husbands and wives, and some people are raised not to be that. And so we got to be mindful of the type of person that we're choosing to be with.
Okay.
Are they a hunter-gatherer, where they're still running the street hunting and gathering, or are they domestic? Are they a domesticator? Are they a person, male or female, who understands? The people I'm trying to talk to are people who want a culture, who want a way of life, who want to, repair the black family.
Okay.
That's what I think the Vantage Point is focused on.
Right.
That's who the Holy Catholic Church of the Black Messiah is focused on.
Okay.
Now, just a side note, if they look at the pan,
Yeah.
I just set the rice in there,
Okay.
and I've cut the onions off.
Okay.
Now, if you look, you're going to notice the rice is just sitting there. It's just going to sit.
Not gonna burn.
It's not going to burn. I'm frying the rice, and then after about 2 minutes, I'm going to stir it. And every time I stir, the rice is going to become darker. You can use brown rice if you want. I'm just using hard-boiled rice for this display.
Right.
Brown
Basmati.
rice, basmati, but know your rice, because some rice, how you cook it, you can be mushy. Can't blame me. Right? So here, I'm going to get this spoon. Now, if you come a little closer, you'll see already the rice is getting brown. So if I bring that rice that's on the bottom to the top, you're going to see we're browning the rice. Right? We're browning the rice. And I'm going to keep doing this and keep stirring. And notice there's not a lot of oil. If I hold the pan on an angle, you literally don't see any oil.
Right.
We're browning the rice. You're not going to do this and walk out the kitchen. You walk out the kitchen, you're going to come back to your fire alarm going off, smoke detector. Right? So scripturally, we have to be mindful that when we talk in scriptures, who's interpreting it for us? We have a right to self-determination. We have a right to determine for ourselves and our kind what is Ben Shenton, What is Nazarite or atonement verified in the food?
Mm.
What is culture? What is spirituality? We have that right. We're not asking the world to do it for us. Some people say, no, a man's place, a woman's place is in the kitchen. A woman's place, part of her natural inclination is knowing a way around the kitchen, baking, etc. But there's women that are doctors, there's women that are engineers, and they still got to go home and cook for their husband.
Mm-hmm.
I know, there's women that are billionairesses and millionairesses who cook for their husband, cook for their family. The old adage, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, not your own. Right?
You took my words. I was going to ask you about that.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach, not your own. I add that piece.
Okay.
Right? Some people cook what
So
they
now.
like.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way to the man's heart. Cooking what you like
Mm-hmm.
is interesting, but it's not going to help you keep the man. You got to find out what's his stomach.
So that's what I was going
Let's
to
show it
ask.
now again. Now look, it's browning. The rice is browning. It's not burning.
Yep, but it's browning.
It's browning.
Now you mentioned cook for your partner.
Yes.
So are you saying that if I'm with a man or anybody with a man
Mhm.
and they get in a new relationship, they need to ask that man, how do you like your food? How do you like your sandwich? Or do you just cook and see if he likes your cooking?
No. You asked if it's the person you're interested in. Now, if it's just the first time, some people do a date. We're gonna do a dinner date. We're gonna cook for each other. Then you're going to cook what you feel is your best meal.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask, hey, do you eat? You don't want to cook a lamb chops if the guy's a vegetarian. You don't want to cook a seafood and the lady is allergic to fish. So it's always important to ask the question. Yes, what would you prefer? How do you like?
Mm.
But once you all get past that initial stage, then yes, I recommend to people go visit the mom, go visit the grandmother, go visit the dad, go visit the sister. If you got a big sister, man or woman has a big sister, older siblings. Go visit the younger sister. And then you begin to learn who you're with and their taste buds. And of course, if you can tweak it, how you prepare it to make sure that we're not getting sick, right? To make sure that the person is not getting ill. So you're going to make modifications. You're going to always less oil, less salt, no salt, not white sugar. You can make adjustments. We live in an age where the internet has thousands of chefs, good and bad. If you can follow instructions, you can become an expert.
Okay.
At cooking.
Yeah.
But that ability to follow instructions is very important. Some people struggle with following instructions. They struggle with it. Now we look at the rice again.
Okay.
It's still browning.
Yeah.
Right? It's browning.
It takes a couple minutes to really.
To brown. You want to brown it because once it's done, and we start adding the ingredients and adding the tomato paste, then you're going to see something interesting happen.
So you would taste the difference if someone didn't brown their rice as much.
Yeah, it would just be some rice. It's like you ever go, some people, you've been to a Chinese restaurant that makes really good Chinese fried rice, and then you go to the Chinese restaurant and they just put like soy sauce, stir the white rice and gave it to you. Like, man, this is just white rice with something. They didn't fry the rice.
Right. Okay.
Right? So that's the difference. If you don't fry the rice, you're going to get Chinese soy sauce, and instead of jollof rice, we call it oh no rice. Right? And everybody eating, they go oh no.
Oh no.
Right? Again, the patience to do it right. Following instructions, something that all of us tell our children. Follow instructions. So our ability, and again, because the kitchen, your garden where you grow food is the pharmacy. The kitchen is the medicine cabinet. You follow? What you bring into that kitchen, you're bringing medicine home. Everything we just put garlic and onions here.
Right.
Shallots, yellow onions, red onions.
Which we're going to talk about later.
The
importance
each of these
of it, right.
Have elements, have vitamins, have nutrients, and then there's garlic in there. Elements, vitamins, nutrients. The red peppers, yellow peppers. I didn't get any green peppers. But they have vitamins, nutrients, minerals. We're creating a chemical compound.
Okay.
We're combining what the shrimp and lobster has, what the turkey tail has, what the rice has, what the tomato paste has, what the onions, shallot onions, yellow onions, and red onions have, what the garlic has, and then by the time we add the mixed vegetable, Now we've created a chemical compound, a concoction.
Now, can I ask you a hard question? A lot of
Let's show them
people.
again. Let's show them again.
Yes,
The
sir.
rice is browning.
Okay.
I have the stove at right now. It's at 6. It's browning. Notice.
Yep, it's not burning either.
It's not burning.
It's not a lot of oil.
There's nothing burning.
You didn't add oil.
Didn't add any more oil. Right? It's not burning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking my time. You're not making Rachel Ray.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're cooking with Basesh.
Okay.
It's not a Rachel Ray moment. We're going to take our time.
Right.
Because we take pride in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I take pride when I'm cooking. I was taught because it's an expression of who I am
Mm-hmm.
and where I'm from and the people that gave birth to me generationally. I'm making it the way my foreparents, my great-grandmothers and grandfathers would have made it. So this is a testimony. When I make this, if I share it with you, or I share it with the audience, and I share it with the children, and I share it with whomever, this is a way of expressing to the people that we still are here. Right?
Now, you can't make, you can't get creative with it, You can't get creative and add or change any elements.
Well, you can put some chicken. You can put some.
Yeah, but how some people be like, oh, you know what? I want to try this. I want to.
And they can.
Okay.
But I wouldn't try it that way the first time.
Okay.
First time around, now I would follow the instruction to the letter. Get that down pat, and then get creative.
What's what I'm asking is, does creativity take away from the tradition?
No, because our ancestors, I have people, my family comes from Mali.
Mm-hmm.
They came from Mali down through Senegal into Ivory Coast. Some went to Guinea, and from Senegal, Ivory Coast, down into Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different ways along that route that foods were prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're calling being creative is just your ancestors often just reminding you of who you are. However, don't get creative. I'm gonna put some tofu in my jollof rice.
That's what I'm saying. Don't get that creative.
That's not creative. You about to make a mess. We're gonna have tafudi jollof rice. No, we don't want tafudi jollof rice.
Okay.
Now what I'm doing is I'm putting tomato paste into the pan.
Okay, you just eyeball it.
Yeah, right. Because and I'm gonna stir the tomato paste.
And the heat is on.
Still on. Right now I'm at
middle.
55.
Okay.
At 50% up. And I'm going to spread this tomato paste all throughout the pan.
Okay.
Until all of it starts to turn red. I'm going to add more tomato paste in a second.
I don't know about Basesh. If this is good, we may have to get a cooking with Basesh show.
Hey, I'm trying, you know what I'm saying? Give me a cookbook out. I'm tired of writing
no.
other books.
We gotta see.
Right?
We won't know until I taste it.
Well, we have some great chefs in this organization.
Okay.
Some really wonderful chefs. We got some chefs that specialize more in vegan cuisine. That's Chef Aminette, her young daughter. That's Copy Uncle Sarah's wife. And her young daughter, Amina. She's tearing it up with her husband in competitions, cooking competitions, and young chef. She's literally doing her thing. So this is, and then we have the brother in England, brother Akir, Lauren Murdoch. Oh my goodness, he makes the jerk. He's from Jamaica, so he's we have some people. We have some brothers and sisters that can go down. I don't want nobody to get mad at me. I ain't gonna say everybody's name. So I'm no black people. You didn't say me. You didn't like no. So we still. All right, now come see the rice if you can. I don't know if you can.
Yes, I will see the rice.
Right, so now it's red.
And we're going to switch
To this camera. I'm gonna come see it. Then I'll put it back. Oh, wow.
Okay, so now that's in there. So now the fun begins, right? We grab the turkey tails. That's already been prepped.
Okay.
Right?
So now when someone cooks again, I don't know if you mentioned it, I may go back. Normally they would cook their meat first, but you already prepared it for the video.
Yeah.
But then they would normally cook their meat first.
Right, that's why we said about 2 hours, because you're going to spend about 30 minutes doing the prep of the meats. Right, so this is the onions. Okay, we got the onions in there.
Okay. Add in the onions.
All right. Onions are in there. All right. I'm gonna add.
Do you add your mixed vegetables?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Not yet.
I'm just asking.
I won't add the mixed vegetables until I add water. So.
I think somebody calling because they want some
They're
food.
trying to place an order.
I think they're trying to place an order. They want some food.
Right, so we're putting the turkey tails in. And we're still stirring it. Again, you're doing a little bit at a time so you can actually stir.
Okay.
And I apologize for some of it hitting the stove.
Oh, it's fine. That's part of cooking, right?
No, it's not.
No? Okay.
It's part of rushing. But yeah, it does happen. It does happen.
So you're a perfectionist cooker.
I try to be.
Okay.
Because, again, I'm honoring my mother,
Mm-hmm.
who's my first teacher. I'm honoring her. I'm honoring her mother's mother,
Mm-hmm.
my mother's mother. I'm honoring all those great women and men who cooked in my line.
Okay.
And the importance, my mom, she's a radiologist,
Mm-hmm.
and we had in her kitchen, they used to call it her office, her second office.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important the kitchen was in our family. So everything had a place.
Okay.
Everything had where it belonged.
Okay. And now I'm asking, the reason I asked earlier about making mistakes
Right.
is because if a person maybe put something out of order or they put their mixed vegetables, oh, he didn't say put that yet. He said wait, and they put something else first.
Wait,
Can
the
they?
mixed vegetables too early, they'll be soggy. Right? I'm putting the frozen mixed vegetables now. And I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to put some water.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting half a bag. This is a 2-pound bag, so I'm putting about a pound worth of mixed vegetables. Again, this is the Liberian way of making jello.
Okay.
If you go to Nigeria, you might just find it with just the jello fried, and Ghana with some fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's delicious, but that's the way our brothers and sisters from Nigeria or Ghana each has their own way, or Senegal or Gambia,
Mm-hmm.
or Togo or Benin or Burkina Faso and Niger. Everyone has their way, and
Okay.
all of them again delicious.
Mm.
We of the diaspora have to take what we've learned and add that to the collective consciousness, and we of the continent have to take what we learned and add that to the collective consciousness and unify our people.
Okay.
You follow?
Yes.
As you see now, I'm going to add some more.
Okay.
Right now, again, we're still stirring. We're going to add water in a minute.
Okay.
But you're doing this so that it cooks. You're not going to be able to keep stirring it once it's covered.
Okay.
You'll lower that stove and actually let it cook.
Now, how do you ensure the water doesn't take away the flavor? Do you add
You're
more?
going to season that. You're not
Okay.
going to even season it yet.
No, right.
I cook with
I'm just making
smoked
sure.
paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, a little bit of Knorr. That's it. Because everything we just prepared has its own flavor.
Okay.
So now I'm going to add that lobster and that shrimp.
Okay.
Spread it.
Now, you reminded me of the question I wanted to ask you earlier. Now, there was a point in time where chefs, cooks, mothers, fathers were able to cook without all these powder seasonings.
Right. Well, that's why, if you notice, we put a bunch of garlic, a lot of onions, you follow?
Mm-hmm.
Our brothers and sisters from Jamaica, they do a lot of item. Those who know how to do item. I can do item.
Okay.
Now, you got to be mindful is that if you're growing it, then you don't need as much seasoning. because the food is nutrient dense. If you're supermarketing it, which a lot of people have to do because you're still trying to convince enough people to grow their own food, then the more you didn't grow it, it's like buying spinach from the supermarket and growing spinach in your yard. One tastes so green, and one looks green.
Okay.
The natural tastes so green. It's full of chlorophyll. You cook with that natural spinach that you grew, which you can grow indoors. You can go on the ledge of your kitchen. It's got to take a little time. Go online, go to YouTube, how to grow vegetables, spinach indoors. Not hard. Can be done all year round. So that during the winter months, you're growing inside. And if you do that, the food tastes great naturally.
Okay.
But if you're rushing or you just didn't have the time or the thing, then you have to do your best. Some people say organic. I say organic is more like a way of marketing.
Okay. Okay.
But to each at that point is your pocket. So I'm not going to tell you. But be mindful. Don't let no one hype you into believing this thing is more than that thing or better.
Okay. Now I'm concerned. I was going to ask. Usually you would use a bigger pot, a real big pot.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't have one right now. So,
Okay.
You see, back home in Liberia, on the continent, in Ghana, Gambia, even in South Africa, when people cook, they do what's called one pot.
Yeah.
Right? Because you may come from a family that doesn't have a lot of money. Not a lot of love, but doesn't have a lot of money. So they're going to cook. And this happens in Jamaica. This happens in Puerto Rico. This happens in Brazil. And so you have to learn to cook. You have to learn to cook in a way with what you have. You have to learn how to cook with what you have. Now I'm getting a jug of water and I'm going to put that into the rice so that the rice can cook. I don't really like using sink water. Okay. Just because you just don't know what
me
you're
neither.
doing,
I don't use
right?
sink water.
But I wash dishes with it. And that's about it. So we're going to cook. Now we've added. I'm going to stir it so that everyone can see.
This is smelling delicious.
So now I got that water in there. Now I'm going to put my seasonings.
Okay.
So this is some onion powder. Please don't ask me how much.
Just
right?
do your thing.
I'm just going to put onion powder. It's onion powder.
Right.
Right? You put a bunch of onion powder in your pizza. So garlic powder.
Okay.
I'm putting garlic powder. And smoked paprika.
Okay.
Smoked paprika. Now, as far as I got that hot pepper coming next, right? Habanero.
Oh yes, that's my favorite part.
I'm going to take, this is Knorr, right? Notice the amount that's in my hand. That's it.
Now, some people use Maggi cubes.
A lot of salt.
Do you use, and you prefer Knorr?
Yeah, because this is the one that doesn't have all that white salt.
Right.
But again,
to each its
I'm
own.
not going to be in that kitchen, but I do know, like I said, my mom has high blood pressure. So I don't want to.
So you got to cook according to your genetics.
You got to cook. You don't get sick. Why get sick?
Okay.
She got sick not because she was a bad cook. She got sick because stress, life, this, that. Right? The fact that I know that she got sick, why do I need to join her in that? I don't have to. I can make. And she now cooks very much the same way. She doesn't use salt. She doesn't use this. She doesn't use that. She's very conscious because her health is on the line.
Okay.
So we don't have to repeat it. We can learn from the generation before us, and let's not repeat the same mistakes.
Okay. Now, since you don't have a big enough pot, are you going? Oh, it's big enough. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna make this
so you're not going to let it cook down and add more water. Okay. I'm just making sure.
We're about to add the habanero pepper. One whole habanero pepper. Now you have what I call white tongue. If you can't eat pepper, then of course you're not going to add a bunch of habanero pepper to it. But and I put the habanero in now. Some people fry it earlier, but then you can end up macing yourself because now the pepper's in the kitchen and the air has been brown. So I put mine in once we're about to let the rice actually steam down. right? But you want to stir it real good so a person doesn't get a spoonful of habanero,
Right.
and that was what we did. So
Right.
I'm stirring from outside of the pot in, outside in,
Okay.
so it doesn't fall all over the place. And then this is a small pot,
So you get it all mixed in.
all mixed in.
Well,
I'll take care of the stove in a minute. If anything falls, I take the bottom of the stove and just get it off the stove so it doesn't burn.
okay. You keep music on as you cook. What's the importance of the energy in the room? How?
Yeah, you don't want to cook and be arguing, cussing. Don't get yourself out. These ingredients have life
Yes.
and they respond to sound. That's not a myth, right? If you put love in food, your house is healthy. Right? If you don't put love in food, well, then disease begins to settle. So I'm going to taste. The rice is not done yet. I'm tasting it for the seasoning and flavor. Okay?
So after this, some more opportunity for flavor.
And some people,
Just asking because
I try not to do that. I wasn't taught that way, but I'm sure there's people who know how. Like if you taste it, yeah, you can add what you would do. If you don't like it, you say, oh man, I should have added more seasoning. Put a little cup of water, mix your seasoning in that.
Right.
You know, mix it and put it in. Don't try to shake it into the pot and you'll go from food that tastes good to what the hell have I done.
Yeah.
So, but again, we have to trust that people, as you're learning each person, you're gonna make some decisions. And you're not gonna get everything right all the time. Well, there's no trial and error. It's pay attention. Keep the errors to a minimum. Right?
I tried.
There's no trial and error. Why? Burn the pot. No, it was a trial and error. Oh, that's the family's meal.
I tried.
Right? My mom taught us no get the damn thing right the first time. Pay attention. Be mindfulness. So it can be done.
Okay.
So I'm going to lower the stove down now to 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to cover.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
I'm going to clean the stove off.
And now we're gonna leave it on for.
Until that water is dissolved out of it. But it's on 3, 3 or 4. Write this down. Everything's done now. And we'll come back, I guess.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick commercial break. I hope you're learning something. I hope that you're able to begin to see that you can diversify your kitchen. You can make African meals, you can make Caribbean meals. You can do so many things in the kitchen, but it takes technique, just attention, paying attention, and trying different things with purpose and intent for the health of your family. So I'm your host, Azami Maliki. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Right now, get conscious news every month. Stay up to date with the Cryptic Revealer. Every month, you can expect conscious perspectives, balanced advice, inspirational stories, together with provoking discussions on every topic. Read and enjoy a magazine that goes beyond and above the scenes. What you waiting for? Start your collection now. This full color magazine for just $3 US. You can get it as a PDF to read on the go or as a physical copy to read in the comfort of your homes. Stacking too high? Don't throw it. You can leave it at the train stations, barber salons, taxis, buses, cafes. Someone will need it. The Cryptic Revealer at www.journeymomgroup.com.
What has happened to the Nubian Melaninite male? My brother, what are you doing? Look at you standing over there. How have you forgotten who you are? Come on, man. We're better than this. Killing each other, selling drugs in our neighborhood, listening to crazy music, allowing women, our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our wives to go unprotected. When do we stand? Who will stand with me? Will we fix the world in which we find ourselves today? Can it be done? I say yes. What say you? Join the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, today.
Is the Nubian male an endangered species? Order your book today at www.journeyhomegroup.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Again, I hope can you say yes. I am your host, Azadi Maliki, and you're tuned into the Vantage Point. Thank you for joining us. We're here with Reverend Dr. AJ Varma. We just came from the kitchen. He's showing us how to make Liberian jollof rice. So hopefully by the time we're done talking, it will be done so we can taste it and get the Vantage Point stamp. See how good it really is. Okay. So we just had Love Lies Liberation, the Men Parchment on the screen. And so you were explaining to us previously in the kitchen that in your relationship, cooking is an intimate part of that relationship.
Yes, it's a very important part of your family because your hormones are balanced by what you eat or don't eat.
Okay.
Right? If we eat the right foods, we get the right nutrients. The organs, the glands function correctly. If those organs and glands function correctly, the glands produce hormones. Those hormones regulate us.
Okay.
So if we're eating a lot of fried chicken from the corner shop and a lot of French fries or chips, white potatoes filled with arsenic, abundance of mucousy cheese all the time, that it's going to people aren't going to the restroom for 2-3 days at a time. If you're not going to the restroom at least twice a day, then the body's holding on to toxins. Those toxins then begin to dominate the blood, which begins to dominate the bodies, the organs, the heart, the brain, and now the brain is suffering from brain fog. The oxygen can't flow correctly. Clogged arteries. Is the blood not able to be thin enough to move through? Have plaque buildup. All of these things
Yes.
lead, and so now we're arguing.
Yes.
Right? Families are arguing. Children are fighting each other.
Yes.
Husband and wife are at odds.
Mhm.
It starts in that kitchen. You are what you eat.
And I'm glad you said that, because especially today in this day and time with music, like I don't cook, I don't clean, with the Cardi B who said something about she don't cook, she don't clean. And I've even seen a video where a young lady came on, it's like, you want me to do the laundry, you want me to cook and clean, and you want me to take the kids, and you want me to, and she named all the stuff that a lady should do. And say, you want me to do all of that? That's too much. So now we have to be able to show that it's absolutely necessary for both ladies and men
Right.
to have the ability to cook for their families.
100%.
Now, as we're cooking for our families, you mentioned the hormones and the organs and the cells and how they all interconnect, and it's important to balance it out with our meals.
Right.
Now, should the person cooking consider specifically, okay, my husband has high blood pressure, my daughter has X, Y, and Z, my son has, I have, and to incorporate the nutrients, maybe if it's not in one meal, but throughout the
day,
week and throughout the day,
throughout the day,
throughout the day
Right.
and week.
right? Day, week, month, year, lifetime.
Right.
Even before the child gets sick,
Okay.
from the child in the womb,
Okay.
how the mother eats,
Mhm.
how the father eats, how that family eats before the child has even been conceived
Mhm.
will dictate the nutrient that fetus is going to develop,
Okay.
which DNA is going to come forth. And then throughout that 9 months of gestation,
Mhm.
how that fetus, how that embryo, how that baby, how that infant in the womb is going to develop. And then when they come out, what will their immune system be, right? Will it be weak or will it be strong? We are what we eat.
Mhm.
Not again, just when you're an adult, from the time you and I are conceived. In fact, before our parents conceived us,
Mhm.
they were already either abundantly or lacking in the amount of DNA, RNA, nutrients, vitamins, minerals that they were consuming to ensure a healthy pregnancy,
Okay.
right? And how the DNA would be decoded by the RNA. RNA decodes DNA, simply meaning the RNA looks at the environment, what you eat, what you see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. It decodes that, takes that, and uses it to decode that particular DNA
Mhm.
that's going to be necessary to survive in this present environment or any future environment. It's taking all of that in. The body is a beautiful machine created by the Most High Heavenly One.
Mhm.
And if we understand that, then we're co-creating with that thing that the Creator gave us
Mhm.
by adding the right fuels. Like buying a new car. Most people, when you buy a new car, you try to put the best type of gas,
Mhm.
right? You try to look for the big name gas company or gas chain.
Mhm.
You don't go to that really corner spot in the hood or in the country. You be like, they might put water in there. The low grade, you understand that it's going to affect the machinery.
Mhm.
The same when you're putting transmission fluid in or when you put engine oil in. You try to put the best. You try to buy the best spark plugs. Well, we do this for our cars.
Mhm.
We do this for our clothes, right? We get whatever the name brand sneakers or jackets or hats. We do this for so many things, but when it comes to what we're putting in our mouth,
Mhm.
now all of a sudden we lose that ability to process and say, I have to put things in my mouth,
Mhm.
knowing that between going in here and coming out one way or the other, right, the urination or defecation,
Mhm.
it is going to either give me life
Mhm.
or build up death.
Mhm.
And if too much death builds up,
Mhm.
I'm going to expire or I'm going to be very sick.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
in that kitchen, where's the gallium?
Mhm.
Right? Gallium, allium. Allium found in onions, gallium found in garlic.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
sorry,
Yes. No,
go
you're
ahead.
taking us. Go
Right?
ahead. That's what I
Found
wanted to
in
go.
found in garlic,
Mhm.
found in onions, white onions,
Mhm.
the least potent,
Mhm.
or yellow onions, the next potent. Red onions,
Mhm.
then there's black onions, there's
Mhm.
green scallions, there's different types of onions, and each one of these has different levels of this gallium.
Mhm.
Allium. It's related.
Mhm.
Garlic
Mhm.
has another type of thing called gallium.
Mm,
These are antifungal,
mhm,
anti-parasitic,
mhm,
right? The whole idea of Dracula being afraid, Dracula's a parasite. He sucks blood. So parasites don't like garlic,
okay,
right? Because they don't like the gallium that's in the garlic.
okay.
You can see where the myth of Dracula, who is an actual parasite image,
Right.
and the reality of keeping the blood clean.
Mm,
So they cooked with onions, they cooked with garlic to clean or make the blood not so sweet, so that parasitic mosquitoes, uh, ticks, fleas, flies, those types of parasites, external parasites, and internal parasites that can enter the body, they don't see that body as being a place it wants to reside.
okay, now there were old traditions like putting onions under the foot, and I know you have a book called The Healing Herbs of Imhotep.
Correct.
So is that what you were teaching in that book, was to infuse that tradition back into the
Into how you
home?
cook, into the home.
So it's not outdated to
No,
use the onion in
no,
those ways.
No, in the
Okay.
red pepper, green pepper, orange pepper, black pepper, bell peppers we're talking about. Each of them have different nutrient contents.
Okay.
Habanero, chili, jalapeno, scorpion. Each of those peppers
Mhm.
serve the purpose.
The colors, do they matter?
Yes, the colors matter. In nature,
Mhm.
hot to cold.
Mhm.
In nature warns you by color, like that real bright red, orange,
Mhm.
can be really hot.
Mhm.
But what does it do to the blood? What does it do to the digestion? Now, when it's done right, now if I'm just getting a bunch of hot sauce, which is some hot cayenne, with some vinegar, with some salt, with some this, and it tastes interesting, then it's not going to do the same thing. It can become too acidic in the stomach.
Mhm.
So what we're eating it with,
Mhm.
right? If we're eating fish, seafood,
Mhm.
shellfish,
Mhm.
fish, you want to add some lime.
Mhm.
Now, vitamin C in
Mhm.
nature says these are the levels of vitamin C.
Mhm.
It gives you a lime, the
Mhm.
smallest.
Mhm.
Then it gives you a lemon, the next level of vitamin C.
Okay.
Then it gives you an orange, the next level of vitamin C. Then it gives you a grapefruit, the next level of vitamin C. Then it gives you a pineapple.
Mhm.
So depending on how much vitamin C you need,
Mm.
or how much potential that this meat or grain or vegetable had for being contaminated, even after you washed it and cleaned it,
Mm.
you're gonna squeeze some lemon or put a little bit of lemon inside of the stew or inside of the baking
Okay.
or grilling process
Mhm.
to kill as many of these parasites off,
Okay.
right? And then vinegar, of course, if you ever taste white vinegar,
Mhm.
it's almost lemony,
Mhm.
right? Because it's in that same family
Mhm.
of how it's processed.
Okay.
We understood this.
Mhm.
Vegetables,
Mhm.
right? Starches,
Mhm.
white potato, white sweet potato called yam.
Mm.
It's not the same as white Irish potato,
Mm.
right? One's abundantly in arsenic, which
Yes,
you have the Irish,
arsenic, yes.
the potato wars. So we
And have you seen the purple potatoes?
the
Like
purple potato, there's a black potato,
Yes.
there's cassava,
Mhm.
yuca.
Mhm.
The people in South America call it yuca.
Mm.
The sweet yam, they call it bañata,
Mm.
right, in South America. And these are abundant in nutrients.
Okay.
It was so abundant that in the case of Jamaica, 2 Olympics ago, when Usain Bolt was still running,
Mhm.
they were trying to ban the traditional Jamaican foods such as bami, aki,
Mm.
what's the other one? Breadfruit, because they were
Mm.
saying these were natural steroids that were giving the Jamaican runners an advantage.
Mm.
And so the Jamaican runners said, okay, well then why don't we make some and feed it to all the other runners?
Right.
And if this is what's giving us the advantage,
They should have that.
we'll share.
Right.
And so they had to kind of let that one know. No, they were eating foods that's indigenous to who they are.
Right.
So when you eat the cassava, now even on the continent, when we take the cassava and we make fufu, there's pounded yam, that's one type. Then there's fufu. But when we make fufu, like I used to watch my mom, she would take the cassava, peel it, chop it up into pieces, put it in a blender, blend it
Mm.
to like a puree.
Mhm.
Pour that into a big bowl
Mhm.
with water and leave it.
Mm.
And then you would literally see the starch floating up to the top.
Mm.
And she'd come every hour for about 4 hours and pour all the water off and add more water. And you keep seeing
you
the
would take
starch.
the-
And she pour it off
Mhm.
because you want to knock the starch down.
Right.
And this is back home. This was being done to eliminate this high starch content, cut the starch down, and then once she would do that about 4 or 5 times over maybe a 2-hour period, she'd come in every 15, 20 minutes, pour it off, add water. After a while, she would then take that, put it in the pot, heat up the pot, and begin to beat it.
Okay.
And it would begin to congeal to create, like I think social media is putting on the screen, to create this fufu,
Right.
which was not high in starch, bad starches. The bad starches are floating to the top. So we Africans, indigenous
Have a
people,
system.
in South America, they do the same. You'll see them take because there's a fufu flour that they can make from plantain. In South America, they'll take the green plantain, right? Not the green banana, the green plantain, which is not sweet. And they'll take it and they'll take thick butcher knife on its side and cut it into pieces and then flatten it. And flatten it, and it creates this. And then they would fry that
I
light
love it like that.
with a little bit of salt and pepper
Yeah.
or whatever, and they give you that. People in Mexico, Puerto Rico, if you go to Puerto Rico, they'll make bacalao. It's called bacalao. And they make a certain way. One of my three of my children, their mother, she's from Puerto Rico, so she used to make this bacalao. And I would watch. Or they'll take the garbanzo bean. So all of this is all African culture, right? Whether we're Puerto
It's all
Rico,
one.
whether we're Venezuela, whether we're Cuba, whether we're Santo Domingo, whether we're Liberia, Ghana, whether we're New York, Jersey, Chicago, London, the indigenous, the Jamaicans and the Caribbeans who live in London, right? That Black
Who kept
British,
their traditions,
right? And so those traditions were about health, it was about family, it was about bonding. There's a chemical bond that's created when we cook together. I'll keep messing up your questions.
That was my question. Go ahead. You just keep it rolling.
There's a chemical bond. I'm sorry, I'm picking up
Okay,
the thought. Right? There's chemical bond that takes place. Like the food that we're preparing, it's bonding. It literally is bonding. All of those ingredients in that pot are bonding. Then when we eat it, all of the those of us eating it, it causes you to bond. That food has been a thing for millions of years that have brought people together. If arguments were happening, we had a thing called a palaver hut. Palaver is to make an argument. So they would have a palaver hut and make this food called palaver sauce. But in this palaver, right, the actual leaf, palaver that you grow, the actual jute leaf, some call it the jute leaf, right? That's the people from, right?
Yes.
Those are the people from countries that have French influence. But that leaf, it has an anti-suppressant in it that relaxes you. So if people were arguing, we go to this palaver hut, they would make the palaver sauce, we eat it, and everybody would be really sedated and calm. And now we can have a calm conversation. So we had sciences, we had a fever leaf. When people got sick, there's this leaf that has a medicinal property that functions like Motrin. It literally has an ibuprofen-like effect in it. So when a person had a headache or was sick or fever, they would make this thing called fever leaf, which the big pharma goes throughout West Africa, goes throughout South America, into the bush, into the jungle, into this rainforest, and they're getting these leaves, patenting the chemical structure, combining it with other chemicals, and then giving you Motrin and ibuprofen. But Motrin, as it's called, or ibuprofen, as it's called, Motrin is a brand, or paracetamol, right, has this anti-suppressant to numb you. So we indigenous people had a system, right?
So we did have medicine.
Of course.
It just,
We were Imhotep's the first physician.
Okay, and I wanted to be clear on that because a lot of people, especially sometimes people get conscious or they hear other information and they're just like, okay, we don't believe in medicine. We want to just deal strictly with herbs. But you're saying they took it from the leaf and made it and created the medicine, which has the same compound chemical composition that you would get in the pill form.
And then what they'll do is when they take the chemical compound, they'll add chemicals to it so they can patent it. You can't patent the natural, but if I add 5 other things to it that really have nothing to do with what it's doing for you, I can now patent it and make millions and billions of dollars.
Mm,
So indigenous people of the world, melanated people of the world, we've got to get back to who we are.
mm,
Don't let someone trick us out of our glory
mhm,
by convincing us that we're less than,
mhm,
by convincing us that what our grandparents from Jamaica, our grandmothers and fathers from the deep South in America, in Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama,
mhm,
right? They used to give the children red dirt, right? Sour dirt or sour, right? And give it to them for antifungal, anti-parasitic. Uh, let's not make what we were learning in Trinidad or in Tobago, actually, or what we were being taught by the grandmothers and grandfathers of Jamaica, of Bahamas, of Ghana, Gambia, like I said, of the deep south, of Texas, of these places. They made us think that this was bad medicine, and we don't know we're still taking it. All they did was added a chemical that's not going to make it worse for us,
Right.
right? Or make an addiction to this particular thing. We can get back to who we are.
Let's check on that
Yeah, I
rice.
want to check on that
Let's
rice.
check on that rice because we need
That's just steam. It's just steam.
just steam. Okay.
Just steam.
All right.
Sorry.
It was a sign. So we got a sign to check on the rice. And I hope that this message is clear for all those who want to go into their kitchen and prepare a meal for their family that has purpose to exactly what you're trying to bring about for your daughter or bring about for your son, your children, your husband, your wife. So we don't just get in the kitchen, and I'm going to turn this, hopefully you can see me. We're going to get in the kitchen.
I just don't talk to you.
Okay, perfect. We're going to go into the kitchen and we're going to create, just like the end, and that's what we're going into next. We're talking about the guardian angelic host and the attributes and the elements and that which they brought forth for us to have these foods infused in our meals. But again, once we go in that kitchen, we're not just throwing something together. Can we get a quick microwave meal? Can we get a quick mac and cheese meal out the box? And we've been so used to and conditioned to get quick, fast, everything, but it doesn't carry the nutrients that we need. And then we wonder why we get sick. It's because we take the shortcut to
We're
cooking.
training our children to look for the shortcut.
And we're training our children to look for the shortcut. And we can't do that because now they're never going to have the just the what I want to say. They're never going to be interested, I should put it that way, of going in the kitchen and actually trying to see how the kitchen works, because it's a science to the kitchen. But it's a lab. The kitchen is a lab, but they'll never be interested in getting in the lab. But if we teach them from young, this is the onion, this is the garlic, this is what it contains, this is the peppers, this is what it contains. When you get sick, this is what you need. We use this. And now they're growing up already conditioned to use the food as a natural medicine, then going straight to the Tylenol, straight to the Motrin, straight to the ibuprofen. You understand? So we're hoping that we can now begin to bring more tradition into our kitchen. Now, is this what the ancients, their attributes, their elements, right? Is
I'm
this,
sorry, I was about to start eating. No, it's not ready.
Is it done? Oh,
It's
I was gonna say cut. Is this what they were bringing forth? Because sometimes we look at the guardian angelic host as, just these brilliant minds, but what's their involvement in this lab?
Well, these were our mothers and fathers. When we say guardian angel, we don't mean it in the Eurocentric way.
Okay.
These were physical people
Mm-hmm.
who become guardians of us because they taught us the things that were beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
That's your guardian. A God, a guard, God.
Mm-hmm.
So these were guardian angelic hosts. They were angels, messengers, heavenly hosts, coming from the celestial heavens to this planet over time, and taught us better ways of living, taught us better ways of thinking, and taught us this thing called self-preservation, because they found that human beings we live by self-destruction, right? We know cigarettes are bad and people still smoke. We know alcohol is bad and people still drink. We know hanging out till 2, 3, 4 in the morning on the streets is not good for us, but we still do it. We're self-destructive. Someone can recondition the mind of the melanin psyche to be self-destructive. We've got to get back to being self-preservation, a natural instinct, right? Every animal has it. If you trap or corner a mouse, and it knows it can't go nowhere, it's gonna run at you. It's gonna try, it's going to fight its way through. If you swat at a bug, at a fly, it's gonna move, right? Because self-preservation. For some reason, we're the only people through misprogramming and cognitive dissonance that is actually moving towards the danger, right? Because it's a strange thing. We move towards the danger because we've been taught to fear the illusion. So we're we're afraid of the thing that's not real while walking towards the danger. We're afraid of the thing that's not real. You're telling me Dracula is going to get me, right? The boogeyman. But the actual physical boogeyman that's nuking countries and flattening neighborhoods and arresting people and putting them away for the rest of their life and has a draconian system, he's my friend. He's my pilot. He's my bus driver. He's my school teacher. He's my principal. He's okay.
That's amazing.
But he's actually doing it to us. But the Dracula, I'm afraid of. The mouse, I'm afraid of the mouse. I'm not afraid of the man. A woman will be afraid of a mouse. If a mouse ran into the house, a woman will run. Most men will run, in fact. But that same person, when you get rid of the man in the house, or you get rid of I don't need a man, a white guy comes to fix your dryer, or your washing machine, or your dishwasher, or your refrigerator, or put in a rug, and you're like, come on in. He's 9 out of 10. He guys suffering from psychopathic and sociopathic. They're highly medicated. He's the actual killer. The mouse just wanted something to eat. You'll get him out. He don't want to die. This guy, he's stalking you. I watched the A&E and I watched these programs on serial this and you start saying, no, these people, they're a different breed. And I'm not saying black people don't do stupid too, and there aren't black people that are psychopathic and sociopathic, but these people are abundantly that way. You follow? They're abundantly wired wrong. They're functioning strictly off the reptilian brain. They kill each other for fun. That's not hate. That's just the reality we're faced with. So when we look at melanated people who we're afraid of each other, and we are not known for massacring each other in great numbers. Of course, we were saying, what about Congo? What about right? These are people whose wars are being Rwanda being fueled by drugs being dumped on the young people, guns and bullets being given to them, and they're silly enough to take the drugs and then act accordingly. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are running world governments, billions and trillions of dollars in finances, and they're creating the condition. They're creating the war. They're creating the fighting. They're creating the killing. And they smile about it, and they don't miss sleep over it. They'll say things like the man who owns Nestle Corporation that human beings don't have a right to water. So he's buying up all the water reserves on the planet. That kind of person, billionaire, brilliant business capitalist, but not a good person. These are not good people. I call them lipless or humanoids, right? They look human. They're humanoid, they're human-like, their behavior. So we've got to counter that by talking to our people and saying, listen, we have things we have to learn. No one's going to do it for us. No one's going to teach it to us. It's up to us to figure it out now, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, right now. That's what we do.
So what happens when we begin to eat their foods and we're eating their foods?
Well, you start thinking like them. That's why it says in the book of Revelations in the 13th chapter says, those who live in the image and likeness of the beast. And the image of the beast and after his likeness.
But some people will say they're human just like us, so what's the problem?
Well, that wouldn't be a problem except for their track record.
Okay.
Right? Let's look at all of the black nations throughout history that invaded other people's lands. Go. The Moors went into Spain and civilized them. Literally, not said was civilized. The Spanish didn't bathe. Literally. In fact, Brad Pitt, a bunch of these actors now say, I don't bathe but once a month. Right? So the Spanish didn't bathe. They didn't have a sewage system. They didn't have a water system. They didn't have any of these things. You people, melanated people, Moors, went there and taught them these things. They didn't come to our land and find us without. You can go online, you can go to Google and type in African cities, 1600, 1400. What the British drew, what they saw, African cities in Congo, African cities in Benin, and they drew it. We had aqueducts, we had waterways, we had irrigation, we had sciences. The decolonization or the colonization of Africa, they took us away from education, right? The oldest university is Timbuktu. The second oldest was in Hippo, right? Or Carthage, Tunisia. The third oldest was in Ethiopia, Aksum. Before there was a Mecca, before there was a Vatican, before there was a Jerusalem, there was a Timbuktu. In technology, the oldest manuscripts to date on earth are called the Malian manuscripts, found or revealed in the year 2012. So we had science, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, culinary, art, music. You follow all of the instruments. That's Africa.
So you're saying they kept us separate from it for so long, and now they possess
They kept us separate and just changed the system to their own. Why does China seem to be doing well? Because it's not trying to follow the European system of math, not trying to follow the European system of education, and that's why China's doing well. Why is Japan and Korea doing well? Because they're not following the
But
same
they never
system.
had it taken.
Yes, the Chinese were ruled by the British for about 100 years, India for about 100 years, 900 plus years. Chinese, 1 out of every 2 Chinese person was strung out on opium.
Yes.
So they had to do things.
Now, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm just asking because I know people are gonna, ask this as well. Now, other races encountered the same thing, not to the extent of us. Let's be clear, not to the extent. But how can we now say, okay, we see that these things have been taken from us, our sciences, our math, but now how do we reclaim that when we're so far behind in our education?
Well, first thing is go visit the continent.
Okay.
And the people of the continent start working with the people of the diaspora.
Okay.
Right? You can't find what you lost if you don't go to the 2 people who had the different pieces of that puzzle. The people of the diaspora, they didn't kidnap the dummies. They kidnapped the best minds and brought them to the shores of America, South America, and other places. In fact, when they got to America, South America, and other places, they found other best black minds that were already here before Columbus, right? And then today, when we go to the continent, there's some best and brilliant minds that still yet remain there. It's getting these minds in South America, in the Caribbean, in the United States of North America, on the continent, in the Indus River Valley, Southern India, getting these people to say, first of all, we're one. We're one. I didn't say come together, just say we're one. Just believe we're one. If you say you're one, you believe you're one, you begin to think and act as one. And then things take their course. But as long as I'm Ghanaian and you're Nigerian and she's Puerto Rican and he's Cubano and he's Mexicano, and I'm talking about the Afro-Mexicano, not the Mexicans that feel that they want to be white, right? I'm talking about the Afro-Brazilian, I'm talking about the Afro-Peruvian, I'm talking about the Afro-Colombian, I'm talking about the Afro-Venezuelan, I'm talking about the Afro-Bolivian, I'm talking about the Afro-San Salvadorian. Those people who call it, they'll say, I am Afro-Cubano. They say Africa first. You'll know who an African is because they're going to put African first. There's Black Americans, and then there's people who say, no, I'm an African living in America. I want to talk to the people who still understand the importance of the continent. And not because I was born there. I was raised in America, raised in New York City since I was 2 years old, right? So I'm more American than I am continent Africa, right? In my thinking and way in which I operate. But we've got to say we're one and then find the best minds amongst us and organize our spiritual systems into a cohesive way of practicing that gives space for Candomblé, or Santeria in its best understanding, right? Takes the Christianity in its African understanding and comprehension, takes the Judaism or Hebraic doctrine in its African understanding, takes the Islamic doctrine with its African, takes the Indus River Valley Hindu doctrine or Confucius, and strips away the influences of the invaders of we call the 11+1 clan sons of Canaan. Strip away those influences and actually put something together That's what we have to do.
Okay.
If we
Yes.
don't, then yes, we're going to keep being in this position.
Mhm.
Europe unionized.
Mhm.
They formed the Union, European
Yes.
Union. America unionized.
Yeah.
They formed the United States of America. So the ability to unionize, to become a unit, to become one,
Mhm.
uno, uni, U-N-I, uno, U-N-O, wahid, ahad, one, alone, function as a collective.
Right.
It can be done. It has to be done.
Okay.
And this is the worst it's been.
Mhm.
Even though people don't see it, they're looking what's touching you in your personal neighborhood, not understanding what is now upon us. So we gotta move. We gotta move quickly.
Right. That's such a-
I would like to check this stove
Yes,
one more again.
I was gonna remind you. So, as you're going to the stove, maybe you can still talk to us. I want to go back to a few things that you mentioned, and the ancients, the attributes, the elements, right? And you said we're looking at it sometimes like the guardian angel, but these were actually people,
These are people,
and these were people that
highly intelligent people,
were highly intelligent people,
scientific-minded people,
scientific-minded
spiritually
people,
sound people,
spiritually sound people.
who understood that they were co-creating with universal creator.
Okay.
And as co-creator, had to take interest
Mm-hmm.
in the well-being of the people
Mm-hmm.
that they govern.
Okay.
That no one was coming to do for you. Primitive human beings figured it out first. So they became hunter-gatherer. They knew, I gotta go out here and get some food.
Mm.
I can eat what's growing right in front of me, but there's too many of us and not enough for everybody to eat. So let's go out here and find something else.
Okay.
Let's go out here and take,
How's it coming?
it's almost done.
Okay.
I told you, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't rush.
Mm-hmm. So can have. I'm just watching because I want some of this rice. I want some of this jollof rice. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna see what's going on. I think we're gonna take a look.
Oh yeah, that's almost ready.
It's almost ready. Okay.
If I just leave the set and you hear the pots and pans and the spoons clanking, I'm just eating.
I'm just eating.
Just eating.
So you were saying,
We were saying that, so these Naturu Elohim, or Orisha, or Being Wings, or Elect Body,
mhm,
or Malaikat Body,
mhm,
or Kachina,
mhm,
they were physical people, right? That were glorified.
mhm,
Now, that shouldn't sound strange. Europeans say that Jesus was a man,
mhm,
or God, who became man, who became God.
mhm,
Came down divine, became man to dwell amongst us. I'm talking about white Jesus,
mhm,
and then died to go become God again, to be worshipped by us.
mhm.
Okay, well, that system that they're talking about is called ancestral deification.
Okay.
Right? If you walk the planet
Mhm.
and you die, you're an ancestor.
Mhm.
That's what an ancestor is. People
Right.
who lived before you.
Before you, right.
So if you were a white guy
Mhm,
who was born of a virgin, the way they teach it,
mhm,
I'm talking about the African Christ. I'm talking about Yeshua described in Revelations 1.
mhm,
Here's lambs, wool, feet, spine, bread, brass. No, I'm talking about the white guy.
mhm,
The way they taught it.
mhm,
And when they say it's okay, the
mhm,
white man came down,
mhm.
born of a virgin, right? Goes out and he's a God who becomes man, who gets killed by man,
Mhm.
who then saves man by dying for man,
Yes.
and then goes to heaven.
Yes.
Well, I can say my mom,
Yes.
who existed in her mother's womb,
Mhm.
when my mother's mother was born,
Mhm.
she was already born with all the eggs that would become my mother and her siblings.
That's right.
So my mother's mother
Mhm,
was a divine being
mhm,
of that same line of divinity that the white guy can be of.
mhm,
And she was carrying in her the prototype that would become my mother and my mother's children, which is myself.
mhm.
And so she gave her life
Right.
or birth. Every person is
Right.
not sure. They got men, they got this thing you strap on you down with the electrical
Press the
shocks.
button.
And you'll understand what it feels like, right? The
Yeah.
cramps. And she gave of her life, her willpower, her desire, her drive to see us become something.
Mm,
Out of that, we were born.
mhm.
It's an African system.
Okay.
Right? It's okay when the Europeans say it.
Mhm,
Right? It's okay when the Oriental talks about Shinzu
mhm,
or Confucius. But when we say Naturu Elohim, when we say Atumre, when we say Nun, Nunet, when we say Orisha,
mhm,
right, or Santarino, when we say Sango or Batala, when we say Martin Luther King, when we say Elijah Muhammad, when we say Coretta Scott King or Amy Jacques Garden, all of a sudden now nobody understands what we're saying. It's not that they don't understand what we're saying, it's that they don't understand why, after everything's been done to us, Black people are still waking up.
Right.
They don't mind you being Buddhist. They don't mind you being Confucius. They don't mind you being Zoroastrian. They don't mind you being Hindu. You went home and said, Mom, I think I'm going to be Buddhist. Oh, okay. You go home, Mom, Dad, I think I'm going to be confused. Oh, okay. Mom, Dad, I've been studying Hinduism. That's interesting. Mom, Dad, I'm Christian, Muslim. That's Mom, Dad, I'm an African. What do you mean you're African? What's this African thing?
Yeah.
What's the you shouldn't, you don't think like, and that's the part. You're telling a lion. Why is a lion coming home and saying, Mom, Dad, I'm a lion?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're a lion? We're all lions, Mom, Dad. No, we're not all lions. Some people are elephants. Okay, but we're lions. They are elephants, but we're lions.
So we look like lions.
Do we look like an elephant? No. Do we roar or do we blow our trumpet? We roar. So we're not elephants. We're lions. And so we look at these African angels. And I'm saying African angels so we can give them the understanding, the appreciation. They're not floating around like little white babies with wings, Valentine's or Cupid. They are actual people who lived, and they had a message, and the message they were giving us is life. That you were created to live and to do something with the life gift that you were given towards bettering the world in which you came. Make the world better than you found it when you arrived. That was an African-centered system.
Okay. Now these African angels, as an Atonus Coptic Pope, and do you teach, does the Healing Herbs of Ayamhotep teach that these African ancestors or African angels actually uncovered something? Because what I'm asking is, we didn't always know what onions were good for. We didn't always know what garlic was
They did
good
research.
for. We didn't know about.
They got in the kitchen.
So we're giving them credit for uncovering for us and revealing for us what these
same way Grandma and
properties are
Grandpa
being used
did.
for.
They were Grandma and Grandpa of their day. We're giving them credit. We give Herodotus as the father of medicine. Who did he heal?
That's a good question.
He didn't heal Africans.
That's a good question.
Herodotus studied with us, studied the ancient Nile River Valley, but he wasn't studying to heal us. We had physicians. We taught him. I understand why the Europeans call him the father of medicine, because he took what he learned from the Nile River Valley civilization back to Europe and began to aid the Greeks, the Macedonians, the Hellenists in their survival. But the people who taught him were us, our ancestors. So this is, they call him Herodotus, the father of medicine. We should be of European medicine, and Imhotep is the father of African medicine. And India has its father or mother of medicine. And China and Japan and Koreas have their father or mothers of medicine. Everyone has a right. We deserve the same opportunity.
Yes, I agree. Now, does the scripture support this thinking?
Which one? Which thinking?
The thinking of the ancient African angels.
Yeah, well, honor your mother and father, that your days will be long.
Okay.
They call it the 10 Commandments. 6 of the 13, but they call it the 10. Honor your mother and father. When you look up that word honor, it says give adoration and reverence to. That's in the Bible. You just click on it, go to blueletterbible.com, go to the chapter in Exodus, click it, go to the word honor, and then it'll say to give reverence. The Muslims use the word taqwa, from where they get the word takbir. When they say takbir, Allahu Akbar, that takbir from the word taqwa, reverence, is found inside the Bible in the Hebrew taqwa. They use the word taqwa, and it means what? To give reverence. So give reverence to your mother and father. That's African.
So if I give reference to Herodotus or to someone else, I'm not
honoring
following.
Why would you? You're dishonoring. It's like mom and dad buy you a Christmas gift. But you give credit, as the great Bob and Dick Gregory would say, you give credit to Santa Claus. Mom and dad work hours and hours and hours, and then tell us as a child, after all the overtime, Santa Claus wants you to give. That's what we're doing spiritually, right? The spiritual powers that we have, the miracles that we experience are real. Black people experience miracles, but we keep giving the credit of the miracle to someone else and not understanding why eventually the miracles don't keep happening. If someone keeps doing right by you and you keep thanking someone else, the person doing right by you will eventually say, I don't do right by you anymore because you keep thanking the enemy. You keep thanking the person comes and saves you from assault, and you stand up and say to the assailant, thank you for stopping hitting me. And the other person's like, no, I stopped them.
Right.
Well, that's what we're going through. We must honor our mothers and fathers. We must honor our covenant with the Most High Heavenly One. And we honor that, but remember, it keeps saying in the Bible, hear, O Israel, remember, O Israel, say, O Israel, Qul in the Quran, say, declare. We have to get back to that open declaration of our true faith, of who we are. We're Nazarites. We follow the Nazarite ways, right? Which may differ from quote unquote the Israelite ways or the Hebraic ways. But and everyone has a right. And we're not saying ours is right for the world. We're saying ours is right for us. And those like us who need and can embrace it in this way. They don't need it, can't embrace it, no problem. Go join the thing that's for you. But as long as we're not worshiping the image and likeness of the beast, the rest it'll figure itself out. It has no choice.
Okay, I want to go back to something you said, and then we'll check on our rights again. You mentioned the DNA and the RNA, and then you also mentioned the Jamaican runners, right?
Yes.
So now, are we saying that we're bringing forth part of the DNA and RNA that we need to progress in that way through our foods as a component, and it's going to kind of trigger and it's going to balance itself with the hormones and everything that we need to bring forth the correct DNA sequence to thrive in our current
environment. And
environment.
thrive and overcome and become successful as a collective to move and function. You know, what makes a lion, I don't know if social media can bring it up, but what hormones make lions pack together? What hormones make humans pack, become a tribe or a family? There's hormones that are responsible for unification. What hormones unify human beings? Literally, right? You cannot come together if those hormones are not present. What hormones cause human beings to unify? If we find that out, then look at what those hormones are triggered by, what vitamins, what minerals, what proteins, and then find out why those things are lacking. Then we find out why Black people don't seem to be able to come together. It's not like Black people are just no good, we're just bad and crazy. Things on the hormone most commonly associated with human unification and social bonding is oxytocin.
Yes, the
bonding hormone, often called the love hormone. It is released during physical intimacy. It is released during childbirth. It is released during breastfeeding. But now if you Cardi B and you Glorilla or Lotta or Red Sexy Red, then you're not giving that baby that you're carrying the oxytocin. So this baby is growing up without proper oxytocin, disconnected from mother, disconnected from father, thus disconnected from community. So we've got some things, what vegetables, what foods and fruits help the body produce oxytocin. Again, the book is The Miraculous Healing Herbs of Imhotep. The book is the Guy's book.
Where are they found, these books?
JourneyHomeGroup.com. These books that we wrote many years ago, almost 2 decades ago, that speak to these things. Social media can pull up what foods are abundant in what foods help to create or to make the body create oxytocin. Foods that help produce oxytocin include magnesium, helps oxytocin receptors function properly. Foods that are rich in magnesium include spinach. I don't like spinach. Chard, that's nasty. Pumpkin seeds, almonds, avocados. And everybody don't mind the dark chocolate. I'm gonna get my magnesium, right? Bananas, vitamin C can improve mood, relieve stress. So, but these are, as the great First Lady Michelle Obama said when her husband was in office, that we suffer from food deserts, where there's no fruits, no vegetables, no green peppers, no fruits. You're either getting stuff in the can or you're getting everything frozen, so it's nutrient deficient. And this leads to the inability to work together. You are what you eat. If you eat unification, you unify. If you eat love, you love. If you eat compassion, you're compassionate. If you eat filth, pork,
canned goods, yellow, this, blue, that, green. In fact, so the Cryptic Reveal is a magazine, monthly periodical put forth by the Holy Cryptic Church of the Black Messiah. And they have a team of writers and editors and things of that nature. And they did a whole edition, and I would ask your audience to participate in getting. It was the edition that dealt with nature's
First
world's
classroom.
first classroom.
I read it.
And in there it talks about food, and I mean it's
It's a very, very, very good periodical, yes. So you can go to Journey Home Group to get that as well.
JourneyHomeGroup.com, go to the store and look for the Cryptic Reveal. There's probably 13, 14 editions out and more to come. So we're gonna saturate the content and reach you, we can reach all we can do.
Yes. Now, do we need to check on the rice?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check.
Okay.
I can keep
I'll
talking.
check on the rice before.
I ain't gonna tell them I burned it, so they can laugh at me.
Everybody gonna see you on fancy camera. So again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. We're gonna check on this rice, see how it's going over in the kitchen, and we hope that you join us. Join us in making our homes a better place. Join us in being intentional about what we're providing for our families. And here it looks like it's done. Is it done?
I'll tell you looking at
Okay. So I was gonna start going into a whole spiel, but I'm like, let me pause. Because if it's done, I'm coming to taste it. Oh, it's okay. So we're gonna go on a quick commercial break so we can get to the kitchen. We're gonna go on one more commercial break so we can get back to the kitchen and we can taste it. This is the moment we all been waiting for. Well, I don't know if y'all been waiting for, but this is the moment I've been waiting for to taste this jollof rice. See what is coming out of Liberia, live in the kitchen with us today, Reverend Dr. AJ Rama. I'm your host, Azali Malinki. You're tuned into The Vantage Point, and we'll be right back.
Right now, get conscious news every month. Stay up to date with the Cryptic Revealer. Every month, you can expect conscious perspectives, balanced advice, inspirational stories, together with provoking discussions on every topic. Read and enjoy a magazine that goes beyond and above the scenes. What you waiting for? Start your collection now. This full-color magazine for just $3 US. You can get it as a PDF to read on the go, or as a physical copy to read in the comfort of your homes. Stacking too high? Don't throw it. You can leave it at the train stations, barber salons, taxis, buses, cafes. Someone will need it. The Cryptic Revealer at www.journeyhomegroup.com.
What has happened to the Nubian Melaninite male? My brother, what are you doing? Look at you standing over there. How have you forgotten who you are? Come on, man. We're better than this. Killing each other, selling drugs in our neighborhood, listening to crazy music, allowing women, our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, our wives, to go unprotected. When do we stand? Who will stand with me? Will we fix the world in which we find ourselves today? Can it be done? I say yes. What say you? Join the Holy Cryptic Church of the Black Messiah, Journey Home Group International, today.
Is the Nubian male an endangered species? Order your book today at www.journeyhomegroup.com.
right now. Get conscious.
Welcome back, welcome back. Again, you are tuned into the Vantage Point. I'm your host, Azani Maleki. And now we're back with Reverend Dr. A.J. Varma, who took the time out. Thank you. I thought he was never going to hand it over. Who took the time out to make this delicious meal, jollof rice. And so I'm going to taste it. And we're going to have to get the truth right here, right now. I'll tell y'all what I think.
In the middle, Vantage Point hostess has been missing. It started at 11.
It's hot, so work with me.
That's all you get. Man. That's it.
This is good. This is good. So, you chew my food.
Yeah, see, that's what you do. You give them some food, they stop talking. See that? That's what you gotta do.
I said, God, this is over. It's really good. So, men can cook, should cook, according to the
People,
scripture.
black people
Black
should
people.
cook.
But the reason I said that is because it's a men conference coming up.
Oh yeah, we got a men's conference coming up.
Okay.
And that's one of the things we want to talk about, the importance of men, bringing back scriptural manhood, right? You know, the toxic masculinity. We need scriptural masculinity, right? We're not toxic masculinity. We're not LGBTQ masculinity. We're not any of that crap. We are scriptural masculinity. Abraham cooked, Jacob cooked, Isaac cooked, Esau cooked, Yeshua cooked, Muhammad cooked. Black people, these are all melanated people. They cooked. Just gotta eat.
I'm Mustache Todd, and I'd like
These
to
types
welcome
of men,
one and all
type of
to
women
the
that
doors of the
we
Holy Catholic
have
Church
to
of the
come
Black
back because that's
Messiah.
what we're
But we say,
You can't claim King Shaka,
come.
but King Shaka did certain things.
This church,
Though he was a
teaching
king,
church,
he wasn't always a
king.
king. Let's eat. Shaka knew how to make
To
a fire.
investigate the scriptures
He had to
from
learn
African
that.
eyes.
And
And yes, when I said the scriptures from African eyes, I'm talking about things that
you know how to
pertain
cook.
to
There wasn't women out there when they were first training. So you have to know how to cook what he hunted. So if you want to be like King Shaka, you gotta learn to cook, right? And so that's what we're just trying to bring back scriptural masculinity, cultural masculinity, true indigenous of the world, people who want to live the original books of the Bible, the original, not the Greek teaching, not the Paul stuff. We'll read some of it just to help those who want to read it, but we're talking Old Testament covenant, that covenant of old, going back before, not just Moses, back to Abraham, before Abraham, back to Seth and Enoch and those great melanated people, those indigenous
Let me
people.
show them while
those
you're
African
talking, while you're telling us, while we're closing out. Let me just show, because they're going to say we didn't show them.
Oh, okay, you can show. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. You know what I'm saying? That's jollof rice. Right, you got the shrimps, the lobsters, the smoked turkey. It's all in there. It's all in there. It's going to be in the stomach soon. And I invite people, definitely try it. Try it. We'll see if we can put something together, do some other dishes, and bring some other chefs that are amongst us, women and men who are masters and lethal at what they do in the kitchen, and try some other recipes and see maybe we can grow something. People to do this. Actually get some aprons and just little things. Make it fun, right? We're gonna make it fun. I'm trying to make it fun. We got a cookbook we did years ago. Eventually, we'll put it out called Ancient African Recipes for Life, and it's food from all around the world, made by melanated people, many of which I've met, definitely have sampled and eaten, and got the privilege of learning how to make. I can make some really nice Filipino food. My mom had a friend growing up named Sylvia in the Philippines. And she's the one who taught me about made fun, what they call the rice noodles, and how to prepare that. I learned from I have an aunt Tagla. She was from Jamaica, so she taught me rice and peas and certain things. And there's some other people that are better than me at these dishes, and I want to see if we can make cooking sexy again, make spirituality sexy again, make consciousness sexy. Make true religious identity sexy. Make it something that people want to do to bring back this energy of family and companionship and nation and tribe and who we're supposed to be.
Right.
So that we'll
And
see.
if you were not such a busy man, we will give you a permanent spot here because I can do this. I can keep eating this food.
That
So-
won't be happening, y'all.
But since he's such a busy man, we have to let him go and just thank him for his time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing our viewers how to make jollof rice. Guys, just remember, it's up to you what to do and what you put in your kitchen, what you put in your body, which is the temple. So make the best decisions for your body. Make the best decisions for your family. I gotta go. I really don't have many words left because I want to eat this jollof rice. So be blessed, have a blessed weekend, and we will see you next week on The Vantage Point. Subscribe, share with your friends and family, and most of all, stay safe and be blessed. Till next time, this has been The Vantage Point.